July of '86, the Pirates are trying to make a deal for me, and they can't make the deal, and they wound up releasing me. And Jim Leland told me this, and we had a good relationship. And I said, "Well, what are you doing if you can't trade me?" He said, "Well, we're going to release you." I said, "Really?" And I said, "Well, what are you looking to do?" So we're going to bring up someone from AAA. I said, "Really?" I said, "Who are you bringing up?" And he told me, he said, "Well, we're going to bring up Barry Bonds." And I said, "Jimmy, yeah." I said, "Jimmy, yeah," just like this with a straight face. I said, "Jimmy, you're going to release me for Barry Bonds? Are you kidding me? A rookie, AAA?" And he started laughing because we knew in spring training of '86, he was still in AAA, that this kid was head and shoulders above everyone else, even in AAA. And in AAA, he was the best player on the team, and he wasn't even on the team. So that's what happened.
Jay Horwitz, special edition of Amazing Conversations with my friend of 45 years, Lee Mazzilli. 45 years,
That's
Max.
how long we know each other.
Well, 1980 was my first year with the
Yeah,
Mets, and
you know.
now it's 20 plus 25. I was a mere babe when I first met you.
Well, what the funny thing is that I was the first player you ever met uh, when you were hired. Isn't that weird? I was the first guy, and yeah, I remember that well.
You welcomed me, Max. I was a young kid coming out of college. You and Joe welcomed me.
Right.
Shep and always like to be in the major league locker room was great. It was great. So Lee, let me ask you, how does it feel, Maz, going to the Hall of Fame by a team that drafted you in the first round
Yeah.
27, 52 years ago?
It's wow. Can I tell you this? I, I felt like I've waited 50 years for this. Isn't it crazy? It's just I go back, when I started, I guess, as a kid coming out of Brooklyn, 18 years old. Yeah, in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, and so I've waited 50 years, and this you know what? Some people take it, for me, this means so much to me because one, I'm sharing it with so many people, but now that I have a granddaughter, and now you go down forever. And I think back now when I first found out, it's like I was telling my wife, I was like, when my granddaughter Sophia, just one right now, but hopefully we'll have more. But like 20, 30 years from now, when we're long and gone, they can come see grandpas, up at City Field. So I look at it like that. It's like it's mind boggling. It's just awesome, man. So
So you
um,
begin going in with Carlos Beltran and your good friend, the great Bobby V. And that's
yeah,
special because you and Bobby have a great history together, right?
yeah, it is so special to go on with Bobby. Well, we started out as roommates, believe it or not. Back then, when we were playing, you had to have roommates, and so Bobby was one of the first calls I made when I found out that we both were going in together. And when I picked up the phone, he just started laughing. I said, "Hey, roomie, it's Maz," and all of a sudden he's just laughing. And he's saying, "Do you believe it?" So we go back to times we were rooming together, playing together, and then it's like a full circle, and you're going into this great institution. So it's going to be a special day, no question,
See,
and to
I
share it with
came
him.
in '80, in '80, and the Mets were not a very good. It was a Yankee town, and I remember begging you so I could write stories about your speed skating ability to get stuff in the papers. But try to say you were the face of an organization for a good decade that really, in a nice way, wasn't very good. You
Yeah,
know, I mean, was that hard for you?
yeah. Well, yes and no. Because I can tell you, for me coming from Brooklyn to play in the big leagues and to play like I was just a couple of years removed. Think about this. And now all of a sudden, I'm in the locker room with Tom Seaver, Jerry Kuzman, John Matlack, Joe Torre, Ed Kranepool. Bud Harrelson. Here I am getting dressed with these guys, and I was in high school a couple of years before, so I knew all about them. And it was like, wow, it was overwhelming at first. And, then management, we had a good team in 76 going into 77. We
That
still
was
had
really the
all,
only good team in the beginning. I think it was the only team over 500 in 7016.
yeah.
The other
And,
years from 81 were great,
here's how it went. So 76, yeah, good team. Um, I think they finished second or third that year. I'm not sure. But the nucleus of the team was good players. And then you went into 77, and Joe Frazier was the manager. Then they made the change. Like I said, Joe Torre was my teammate. And then all of a sudden he took over as player manager in May of 77. And then they went into the youth movement, so to speak. So when I first came up, no, it was just it was a team that was competing all the time, and then they changed. They made the change, and obviously the massacre at Shea. It was June 15th of 1977.
the day
So
of
they went
reckoning.
back. The day of reckoning. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, I didn't know what to take out of it. I really did not. Like I said, I'm still a kid, and that's when we got Bobby Valentine, and on
Yeah,
and
for
with
Kingman, right?
yeah
Kingman
for
came
Dave
over.
King, yeah for
Yeah.
Dave Kingman.
What do you call it? The
So
Midnight Massacre? Whatever.
yeah,
Whatever.
yeah, because that was the time when they had a June 15th deadline. So that was a big date, and
What
even
I'm
when the
trying to say
deal was with
is you were a magnet for the, it's a nice way. You were really Jeter before Jeter, as far
yeah.
as the,
Well,
the
when I went to the youth movement, um, it was like, and then everything changed. Yeah, obviously from an promoting advertising point, but it's not like it was today because today it have been huge social media. But you know, the one thing they had at that time was a kid coming from Brooklyn playing in the backyard in Queens. So there weren't that many players that were like that played in the hometown. So they kind of
you
ran
were
with that.
everywhere. Every
Yeah,
billboard, every newspaper.
I wasn't very comfortable with that, to be honest with you. Because it wasn't really me; it was what they wanted to do. So
Right,
I
right.
it took a while to understand that. You have to remember this. I'm playing at Shea Stadium, and all my buddies are coming from Brooklyn to come see me play, and they're screaming. They're screaming, Maz, where are we going tonight? Hey, I'll meet you
Go
here.
down to George Travolta's place.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, wait a second. I gotta face, Nolan Ryan here. Don't worry about where I'm going tonight. So that was a big thing, and playing in front of mom and pop, and then your family. That
Hey, let
that
me
you know
stop
all
for a
that came
second.
into.
The day is going to be great when you get formally inducted. Two people are going to be missing: your dad, Libero, and your
Yeah,
brother, Fred. Talk
yeah,
about that first.
special. Um, I could say, my dad probably. Uh, I probably missed more games than he did, because
Your
he
biggest
showed up.
booster. Your
What's
your
that?
biggest booster. He was
Biggest
your
booster.
biggest booster.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about that probably at the event because my dad, being an old school Italian, didn't know anything about baseball. The only thing he knew was Joe DiMaggio, right? The only
He
time. That's it. That's all he knew.
was a boxer, right, Lee?
And he was a boxer, and the only thing that he did was support me, no matter what. And he embraced me. He supported me. He was there every game, no matter where I played in the parade grounds, Prospect Park, Marine Park, all the fields in Brooklyn, and every time and every game I went to, I played in, he was there. Like I said, he never ever my entire career said, "Hey, how come you struck out on that pitch?" Or "How come you made an error?" Or what? Never, not once. And that was the amazing thing. Every time I come in and after the game, he would always say, "Hey, did you have a good time today? Did you have fun today?" That was it. He was just there for supporting. And I say, "Hey, Pop, I struck out 3 times there. It wasn't much fun because you got to have fun. You got to have fun." That's all he did. And that was the amazing thing that I try to preach to a lot of parents nowadays is, support your kids, embrace them, be there for them, make them love the game because that's what he instilled in me. So that was very special. And, you know, uh, the hard part for me, um, and I get emotional now, is my brother won't be there. So
Cancer.
that's
You
all.
started a foundation in his name. You did a
Yeah,
great job of keeping his memory alive and
yeah,
doing
we have a
stuff.
foundation for him. It's called the Fred Mazzilli Foundation for Cancer, Lung Cancer Research and Awareness. And what we do is we supply, not supply, we give people that can't afford free CT scans and CAT scans that people can't afford it in Brooklyn at New York Presbyterian, Brooklyn Methodist. So um, the ones that can't afford it. I believe to this day, I really do. If my brother was scanned early, he'd still be alive today. I really do that. And
It's a great
awareness,
cause.
yeah,
It's good.
awareness and first early detection is a key to any
Yeah.
health issues and cancer. So that's what we do. So it's kind of special, but um, yeah.
One thing, maybe I misread something. A switch hitter was born naturally left or naturally right. You were neither, right? You just were born a
Yeah, it was
switch hitter.
all messed up. Yeah, exactly. Have to
No,
step
no, but
in.
I'm saying you weren't a natural righty or a natural lefty,
No,
right?
no, because as far as I could remember, growing up and playing, I did things always both ways. Like it wasn't, I'm going to be left-handed. Now let me try right-handed or vice versa. I just don't remember. It was just natural. I just did the things. And that was, in the schoolyards of Brooklyn. And I guess that's where I learned how to play the game. I played the game, and that was my babysitter, the schoolyard. From dawn to dusk in Brooklyn. So people in New York will understand that I play, stoop ball, slap ball, punch ball, softball, hardball, Johnny on a pony. I did that from morning to night. And, they always ask my brother and sister or friends, would ask my mom, where's he at? And they say, he's in the schoolyard, from morning to night. And I would play. My brother was 7 years older than me, and I'd always play with him and his friends, which really helped me as a youngster because he would always pick me first and they would laugh. You can't take him, he's 11 years old. And he goes, don't worry about it. You know, I want my little brother on my team. And I played with kids that were 16, 17, 18 years old, softball in the schoolyard. And always I just remember him saying after the game, oh, do you want my brother now? You don't want him, So I was picking with
You
all
ever
the
seen a
kids.
Lou Gehrig story when
Yeah.
he's getting pickup games? In the movie's a squarky guy that's hitting bomb. 1979. What are your best years? 303,
Mhm.
34 doubles, picked to the All Star game. Somehow you got screwed out of the MVP of the All Star game. A tying home run and walk with the bases loaded for the winning one. I think Dave Parker got the
Yeah.
MVP. How'd that happen?
Such as like, how did it happen? Till this day, I'll never know. It's funny. I was thinking about this not too long ago. So playing during the season, and you're having a good year or whatever, and you have to understand that the All Star game back then to now is different. It's changed. For better or worse, it's just different. Um, and when you're selected, you're looking at different players. You know what I'm saying? Like you're looking at all the greats. Like I said, Seaver and Kuzman, and then you got Nolan Ryan playing, and Carl Yastrzemski on the other side, Pete Rose, Joe Morgan, and it's like those those guys are the elite players. You know, that's how I looked at it. The elite, and then all of a sudden, somewhere around June. Um, Jack Lang. You remember Jack Lang, right?
Jack
The
Lang
writer
is
for the
one of
Daily
my
Mail. Jack Lang.
mentors.
Yeah, Jack Lang was one of the big writers in New York at the time,
Yeah.
and he came up to me in the clubhouse one day, and he goes, "So, what do you think, man? You gonna make the All Star team?" I went, "Oh, the what?" I kind of did one of those All Star team. That's for those people, the immortals. Didn't even think of it. And then, obviously, when I was selected, which was just it was probably the best honor as a player, because there's three things you want to do that I wanted to accomplish in baseball. Just three things. One, I wanted to get to the big leagues. I wanted to play big league baseball, play in the major leagues. That was like on another level. Two, once I got there, I said, oh, it'd be kind of cool if I could be good enough to make an all-star team. And three, I want to win a world championship. That's what I wanted to do. Those three things that if you can accomplish as an athlete, you kind of reach that milestone. And I did all three with the New York Mets. How's that? How do you figure that one out? So it was kind of cool. Yeah, if you look back at it, we reminisce now because at the time you just don't you don't know the importance or what it means. You go through it, it's great, and then life goes on. But as we get older, we look back and we reminisce, um, or of all the good times. It becomes more special as we get older.
Let me take it back. April 1st, 1982. I get a
Not
call.
very
We're
good
in.
day. Yeah, not very good day.
Well, I'm
Who
in.
called
We're
me?
in.
You
I'm
want you
St.
want to go through
Petersburg,
this?
Florida. I get a call from Jay Frank Cashin. Where's Mazzilli? What? Well, we got it. We just traded to Texas. You got to find him for me. I think you were at Bobby's house.
No, Bobby and I were living together on the beach. He was
Yeah.
staying with me. I think Bobby was coaching in the minor leagues or doing some instruction. I
Right.
think in
Right.
yeah. And so he was staying with me. We had a house on the beach.
And I think I
We said
remember
PP.
we tracked you down, and he gave you the news you're traded. Who would become one of your good friends, Ron Darling and Will Terrell,
Yeah.
and
So
you go up to Texas.
I think at that time, at that day, well, I thought I was getting traded to Chicago. That was the rumor at the time that's coming out. I didn't want to get traded. No one knows until it really happens. And I think I got a call from you
Yes, you did.
around 20 to 8. I think it was at 8 o'clock deadline or something. I don't know what the time was, but it was something like that. It was later in the evening. And you called me and you said that Frank Casher wants to speak to you. He says, Maz, it's Jay. I say, Jay, and you said Frank wants to speak to you. And
I
then
probably mumbled that, man.
yeah, you did. You just because I think that was probably one of your trades, probably one of your first ones, right? That you had a call,
Yeah,
maybe.
it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I really felt I've always said that was hard for you to make that call to me.
Oh, it was
You know,
awful.
yeah,
I got a
and
trivia note. Ron Darling, a big successful pitcher and everything. You know what Will Terrell's claim to fame was?
no. Oh, home
This is
runs or something?
no,
No.
you can't. He got 2 hours in a game. Vito, you're gonna probably cut this out, but let me say it anyway. He had the biggest turds known to mankind, and he used to
Oh,
frame them in his house. That's
we're cutting that
I
out.
saw.
We're cutting that out. We'll cut that
So,
out, Jay.
well, I had to mention that stuff. Uh, Let me jump in part two with the Mets. And you go off to the Pirates, and you come
No,
back in
no. Yeah, I got traded to Texas, and from Texas,
Texas, the
then
Pirates.
no, no, I got traded to the Yankees from Texas.
Right, right,
I got traded for Bucky Dent that day.
right.
And Bucky wasn't happy, and at the time he wasn't playing, and Um, George wanted to make a switch, Steinbrenner, of two guys from New York trade for each other, me for Bucky Dent, and they made the deal. Obviously, I was ecstatic coming back to New York, and Bucky wasn't happy. It was just the whole thing. But the crazy thing about this game, because it's such a small fraternity, is that when I first got traded for Ron Darling, right? All of a sudden, within I don't know how long it's been, how many years, uh, we turn out and to be good friends, right?
Right.
Here's a guy you trade for. We see it, we talk, we're friends. Get traded for Bucky Dent. We're friends. Well, Bucky's one of the greatest guys, persons in the world, man. He's just a special man. Yeah, so it's just look who you got traded for, and then you see, I see Bucky and I see Ronnie all the time, and it's like you and I, it's just friends hanging out. But then again, you look back and say, well, you guys are the ones that are all traded for. So, like I said, it's a small fraternity, and it worked out well.
So part two, you met career is in the summer of '86. You rejoined the team. What have a big part in the championship? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think he hit over 300 in regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Two gigantic hits in the playoffs in the World
Right.
Series. Uh, what did it mean to come back to be
Oh, wow.
part
Wow.
to be
So
part of that mess?
yeah, let me I'll go through that a little. Or like Ray Knight always used to say, if there, he always comes up to me and says, "You're the spark. If there's no spark, there is no fire." Ray Knight would say for games 6 and 7. Let me go through that with you. So I'm with Pittsburgh at the time, and Pittsburgh was trying to get, which people don't know this. The Mets were trying to get me in the spring of '86. They were looking to trade for me, and I was a veteran with Pittsburgh. I already had 10 years in the big leagues, and I wasn't. They went to the youth movement, and Jimmy Leland was the manager, his first year as manager of the Pirates. And what happened was, I know the Mets through my agent and through Joe McIlvaine were talking that, listen, we're trying to make a deal for you to get you back, and they told me in spring training. So I knew they were trying to get me back early on that year. So I just told this to Howard Johnson's last week. We had dinner together, and we were talking about what happened, this incident, and they can't make the deal. All right, for some reason, the deal wasn't made. And I went to Jim Leland's office, who I love dearly, just a special person in my life. And I said to Jimmy, Jimmy, you gotta make the deal. I want to go home. I'm not playing here. So the deal was me for Ray Knight. Okay, because the Mets at the time wanted Howard Johnson to play third base, right? You remember?
Right, sure, sure.
Okay, so Howard was um, their um, what am I trying to say? Their guy that they wanted to take over at third base in '86. He was their top prospect. And I went into Jim Leland's office. I said, Jimmy, you got to trade me. I want to go home. And Jim Leland looks at me, a right hand of God, and says, what do I want Ray Knight for? I might as well just keep you. I went, what? True story. I don't want Ray Knight. This is Jimmy Leland telling me. Because at the time, Pittsburgh Pirates had a third baseman called Jim Morrison. You remember Jim Morrison?
From the Doors.
No, not that one. Yeah, that's from the door. So they had Jim Morrison playing third base, and he did well for them, and he wasn't making a lot of money. Pittsburgh was low budget team type, and he says to me, "What do I want Jim Ray Knight for? I might as well keep you." I said, "Come on, Jimmy, you got to." No, I'm not going to make. I'm not going to make the deal. You could stay here and help the young kids. I'm not. I don't want to make that deal. And I was so oh, dejected. I went, oh, you got to be kidding me, man. I know the Mets want me. So anyway, they couldn't make the deal. And I told Howard the story. He said, really? And it was amazing. So I could have been there in the early part of '86. So they don't make the deal. And then obviously I played the season in July of of '86, the Pirates are trying to make a deal for me, and they can't make the deal, and they want up releasing me. And Jim Leland told me this, and we had a good relationship. And I said, "Well, what are you doing if you can't trade me?" He said, "Well, we're going to release you." I said, "Really?" And I said, "Well, what are you looking to do?" So we're going to bring up someone from AAA. I said, "Really?" I said, "Who are you bringing up?" And he told me, he said, "Well, we're going to bring up Barry Bonds." And I said, "Jimmy, yeah." I said, "Jimmy, yeah," just like this with a straight face. I said, "Jimmy, you're going to release me for Barry Bonds? Are you kidding me? A rookie, AAA?" And he started laughing because we knew in spring training of '86, he was still in AAA, that this kid was head and shoulders above everyone else, even in AAA. And in AAA, he was the best player on the team, and he wasn't even on the team. So that's what happened. So I got released for Barry Bonds, and he came up. And then I was home, and I got a call from a couple of clubs that I was interested in going to. That called my agent, and then the next thing I know about maybe a week later, I had some deals out there to go to another club, two other clubs with an extension at the time. And the Mets called and said, my agent said, "Guess what?" And I said, "What's up?" And he said, "Listen, the Mets are interested in you." And I said, "Huh?" So it came full circle from the spring to then, to back then, and I had guaranteed contracts from two other clubs, and I didn't have any guarantee with the Mets at all. Um, Nothing more. Frank said for '87 they really wanted to sign me for '87, and '86 the only guarantee that I had was I would be called up on September 1st. That was the only guarantee they gave me. And I debated what to do. It wasn't a quick call because I knew the Mets were the best team in baseball playing against them. I knew they were going to the playoffs. I wanted to be on that postseason roster. I wanted a chance to be in the playoffs. That's what I wanted, to win a World Series. And I didn't have a guarantee, and it took me a while to decide what I really wanted to do, or did I want to
They were
forego.
letting release George Foster right now as the key.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I didn't know. But they didn't release George before I
through
signed. It was
August.
after. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I had to make a decision. Am I going to roll the dice and go to sign with the Mets and not not a guarantee that I'd be called up for a postseason play, which I really wanted. So it was a dilemma. And I spoke to my wife. We took a while to make that decision, and I gave up two other deals that were guaranteed
Well, it
and
worked
with an
out great,
extension.
man. You
Yeah,
were a big
so
part of the '86 championship and led
yeah,
a couple of big hits in the World Series. Guys, what a great career you've had. You're a player, coach, manager, broadcaster. Uh, you did it all, and now going into the Fame. Uh, you went with the Yankees. When Joe was a manager, took over.
hmm
You were the coach in 2000 when you somehow eked out a victory over us. Because some ball bounced through the middle of the infield. We lost the first game in Yankee Stadium, but that's another story.
yes,
So yeah,
that's a
two
that's a
celebrations.
whole podcast on that one.
Yeah, so two celebrations. You go in the Hall of Fame. We're to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Mets. So this year of the '86 team. So it's going to be a big deal in the Mazzilli household this year.
Yeah, yeah. I just gonna let you know now. Just make sure you have enough tickets for me and the
Okay.
Mazzilli family because they're gonna be a lot. And I, you know, I look at the Hall of Fame and the Mets Hall of Fame and the the distinction of that and the honor of that. I'll tell you what. This is how I look at this. Like I said, I waited 50 years for this. I may not be the best player in the Mets Hall of Fame, but I'm the proudest.
Well, like I said to the people firsthand, what you did, be the face of an organization that wasn't a great team, and you got attention and notoriety. I can tell one personal story, man. I tell what kind of guy you are. We had a mutual friend, Danny Castellano, unfortunately
Mm-hmm.
passed away a couple of years ago. Danny would covered us in the early '80s when in the '70s you were there. He got very sick. You stayed in touch with him, called him from time to time, didn't forget him. I know how much he appreciated a call from the great Lee Mazzilli. And sometimes when people leave or get sick, they forget. You never
Yeah.
forgot. Danny was just an average
Yeah.
newspaper guy who had a big heart, and you befriended him, he befriended you, and you never forgot him. That tells what kind of character you are.
Well, thank you. I was talking about him not too long ago. Let me tell you a little thing about Danny Castellano as a writer. Obviously, journalism has changed. Everything has to be sensationalized now with social media. Back then, reporters would come in. I remember doing an article with him, a story, so, and as he's writing this, certain things I said that may not have been popular or the right thing to say. And as he's writing the article, and he writes the article before he publishes it, he comes over to me and says, "Maz, this is what you said. Do you want me to write that?" It was like, what? Like he wanted to confirm what I said and make sure that
That's the kind Danny was.
at how he was. Like, I won't write this. Do you want? Like that would never happen today. You know. So I had
No.
so much respect for him. And like he said, I don't want to write something that's going to make you sound bad or say bad something about. I said, but this is what you said, and he actually asked me um, to take it out,
No.
or something like that.
And
So
you kept
a lot of
contact
yeah.
before he died. You were, and Matt, I'm thrilled for you as a friend.
I got to thank
But
you.
you
I know you were such a big part of this
well, listen, you got
venture.
probably took a little bit longer than we thought possible, but you got what you deserved. And what you did on and off the field, you're always a credit to the organization. You always carried the Mets banner well, and I'm
Yep.
thrilled for you. I haven't announced the date yet, but it's sometime in the summer where you, Bobby, and Carlos Beltran be inducted to Hall of Fame. And congratulations to you and Danny and to the whole family.
Yeah. Thank and my little Sophia. She's going to be there with me.
A little Sophia.
To,
Well,
and make sure you have those tickets ready for me.
I've got to put it up right now, Matt. Thanks, man. I will
No,
see you soon.
thank you, my friend. I love you, buddy. Thank you.
Okay.